The Four Doors, a Jungian psychology test. Some choices we make in silence speak louder than any words we could ever say, not because they are rehearsed, but because they emerge from a place beyond conscious thought. Right now, you stand before such a moment. In front of you are four doors. They are not ordinary entrances. Each one carries a distinct energy, a different emotional frequency, a unique invitation into your psyche. Before your mind begins to analyze colors, assign meanings, or search for logic, stop. Breathe deeply. Let your awareness settle. Notice which door calls to you, not with reason, but with resonance. This is critical. Do not think. The instant you begin to rationalize, you move away from the truth this test is designed to uncover. Carl Jung understood that symbols communicate directly with the unconscious mind. Long before we develop language to describe ourselves, our inner world already recognizes patterns, instincts, and archetypal images. The unconscious does not speak in sentences. It speaks through attraction, resistance, comfort, and unease. The door you feel drawn to is not a random preference. It reflects a dominant psychological current flowing through your life at this very moment, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. Many people spend decades trying to understand themselves through analysis, therapy, books, and conversation. Yet some of the most profound insights arrive when we do the opposite, when we allow ourselves to choose without explanation. This test works precisely because it bypasses the rational mind and touches something deeper. As you observe the doors, you may feel calm, excitement, hesitation, or even avoidance. Do not dismiss these reactions. Resistance carries meaning. Sometimes we are drawn not to what feels safe, but to what feels necessary. Once you have chosen, hold that image in your awareness. Do not rush forward. Each door represents a different relationship with passion, power, purity, and potential. None of them is superior or inferior to the others. They simply reveal different ways the psyche navigates existence, protects itself, and seeks fulfillment. This is not about labeling your personality or predicting your destiny. It is about recognizing which inner force is currently demanding your attention. Jung called this journey individuation, the gradual revelation of who you truly are beneath conditioning, expectation, and fear. In the moments ahead, you will explore what your chosen door symbolizes. You may recognize yourself immediately, or you may feel uncomfortable. Both responses are valid. Self-knowledge is not always gentle, but it is always true. So before we continue, commit to one principle: remain open. What you are about to discover may already be influencing your choices more than you realize. Now let us open the first door. The red door, the fire of passion and raw life force. If you chose the red door, you are intimately connected to the primal energy of life itself. This door represents intensity, desire, passion, and the courage to feel everything without apology. Red is the color of blood, fire, and the heartbeat of existence. It pulses with urgency and vitality. People drawn to this door often experience life at a heightened frequency. You feel deeply. Love, anger, joy, frustration, longing, all of it moves through you with force. These emotions are not distractions. They are the language of your soul. Your psyche operates close to the surface. What you feel, you express, sometimes before you fully understand it yourself. This can make you appear bold, spontaneous, or even volatile to others. You may have been told that you are too much, too emotional, too loud, too intense. But what is often overlooked is your authenticity. In a world where many people numb themselves to survive, you remain vividly alive. You trust your passion, even when it is inconvenient. You follow your desire, even when it frightens others. From a Jungian perspective, the red door connects to the instinctual layer of the psyche, the part of us that is raw, unfiltered, and deeply connected to the body. This is where vitality lives. It is also where conflict arises. When passion dominates without reflection, it can lead to burnout, broken relationships, or regret. Acting purely from emotional impulse may bring immediate release, but not always wisdom. Your growth lies not in suppressing your fire, but in learning how to channel it consciously. There is a natural magnetism in people who choose the red door. Others are drawn to your energy, even if they do not understand it. You bring movement into stagnant spaces. You remind people that life is meant to be experienced fully, not merely endured. At the same time, your path often involves learning patience, not as restraint, but as mastery. When passion and awareness work together, you become unstoppable. You act with power, not chaos. However, the red door also carries a shadow. Unchecked intensity can become destructive. You may struggle with impulse control, emotional overwhelm, or the inability to pause before reacting. Relationships may suffer because your emotions arrive before your words can soften them. You may feel misunderstood, as though others cannot keep up with the speed at which you feel and move. This can lead to loneliness, even when surrounded by people. Ask yourself, where in your life are you being asked to honor your passion without being consumed by it? Where have you dimmed your fire to make others comfortable? Your psyche is not asking you to become less intense. It is asking you to become more conscious of how you direct that intensity. Fire can destroy, but it can also illuminate, warm, and transform. The question is not whether you feel deeply. The question is whether you guide what you feel with intention. If this door resonates with you, know this. Your passion is not a flaw. It is your gift. And yet there is another kind of strength, one that exists not in fire, but in silence. To understand that contrast, we now turn to the second door. The black door, the depth of the unconscious and hidden power. If the black door called to you, you are someone who dwells in the deeper layers of existence. This door represents mystery, the unconscious, hidden strength, and the parts of life that cannot be seen on the surface. Black is the color of night, the void, and the womb from which all things emerge. It is not absence, it is potential. People drawn to this door tend to live quietly but profoundly. You do not broadcast your inner world, you guard it. You are likely someone who processes life internally before revealing anything externally. While others speak their thoughts immediately, you hold yours close. You observe, analyze, and reflect. This does not make you passive. It makes you strategic. You understand that silence is not emptiness, it is depth. You notice what others miss, the subtle shifts in energy, the unspoken tensions, the emotional undercurrents that ripple beneath polite conversation. From a Jungian perspective, the black door is closely tied to the unconscious mind, the vast reservoir of memory, instinct, and potential that lies beneath conscious awareness. Jung believed that the unconscious is not merely a place where forgotten experiences are stored. It is a living, dynamic force that shapes our perceptions, dreams, and intuitions. Those who choose this door often have a strong connection to their inner life. You may be introspective, imaginative, or drawn to subjects like psychology, philosophy, or spirituality. However, depth can become isolation if you are not careful. Because you contain so much internally, others may struggle to understand you. You may have learned early in life that expressing vulnerability was unsafe or ineffective. As a result, you developed a rich inner world as a form of self-protection. This is not weakness, it is adaptation. But adaptation can slowly become a prison. When emotions remain unexpressed for too long, they do not vanish. They accumulate. This can create a sense of heaviness even when nothing appears wrong externally. Your strength lies in your ability to hold complexity. You can sit with ambiguity, contradiction, and uncertainty without needing immediate answers. This gives you a rare kind of resilience. However, your growth lies in selective vulnerability. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world, but someone should. Depth becomes wisdom only when it is shared, even gently. Otherwise, it risks becoming stagnation. People who choose the black door often possess a quiet form of influence. You do not lead through volume or charisma. You lead through presence. Others feel steadier around you, even if they cannot explain why. You remind them that not everything needs to be spoken, and not everything needs to be understood immediately. Yet there is a shadow to this door as well. The black door can also represent avoidance. Sometimes silence is not depth. It is fear. Fear of being seen, judged, or misunderstood. You may hide not because you are mysterious, but because you are afraid of what would happen if you were fully known. Ask yourself, where in your life are you holding back truth that needs to be expressed? Where has silence protected you and where has it limited you? Your psyche is not asking you to become louder. It is asking you to trust that when you do speak, it matters. The unconscious wants to be integrated, not buried. And yet not all inner work requires stillness. Some souls are built for motion, change, and constant renewal. To understand that energy, we now turn to the third door. The white door, purity, clarity, and the path of transformation. If the white door drew your attention, you are someone who seeks clarity, renewal, and the freedom to begin again. This door represents purity, transformation, spiritual seeking, and the psychological need to shed what no longer serves you. White is the color of snow, light, and blank pages. It is the color of potential realized through release. People drawn to this door often feel a deep need for simplicity, order, and meaning. You are not comfortable with clutter, whether physical, emotional, or mental. You are likely someone who values truth above comfort. You would rather face a difficult reality than live in a comforting illusion. This gives you a certain kind of courage, the courage to let go. You may have released relationships, careers, beliefs, or identities that others would have clung to, not because you are cold, but because you understand that transformation requires sacrifice. Growth is not always addition. Sometimes it is subtraction. From a Jungian perspective, the white door is closely connected to the process of purification within individuation. Jung believed that becoming whole often involves stripping away false identities, societal conditioning, and ego defenses. The white door represents the willingness to see yourself honestly, without embellishment or denial. This is not easy. It requires humility, self-reflection, and the strength to confront your own shadow without judgment. However, the pursuit of purity carries its own danger. When taken to an extreme, it can become perfectionism, rigidity, or emotional coldness. You may hold yourself to impossible standards, believing that anything less than perfection is failure. You may struggle with guilt, shame, or the feeling that you are never enough. The white door can also represent a desire to escape, to cleanse yourself of the messiness of being human. But life is not meant to be sterile. Growth is not linear. Healing is not always clean. Your strength lies in your clarity. When you commit to something, you commit fully. You do not tolerate ambiguity or half-truths. You seek alignment between your values and your actions. This makes you trustworthy, consistent, and deeply principled. However, your growth lies in embracing imperfection. Transformation does not require you to erase your past. It requires you to integrate it. The goal is not to become spotless. The goal is to become whole. People who choose the white door often inspire others through their commitment to truth. You lead by example. You do not preach. You simply live according to your principles, and that quiet integrity resonates. Yet there is a loneliness to this path as well. Not everyone is ready for the level of honesty you require. You may find yourself distancing from people who live in illusion, compromise, or denial. This is natural, but it can also create isolation. Ask yourself, where in your life are you demanding perfection instead of progress? Where are you using clarity as a shield against vulnerability? Your psyche is not asking you to lower your standards. It is asking you to extend compassion to yourself as you grow. The white door is not about becoming flawless. It is about becoming free. And yet, there is one final door, one that contains everything the others avoid. To complete this journey, we now turn to the fourth door. The yellow door. Joy, potential, and the light of possibility. If the yellow door is the one you chose, you are drawn to the energy of hope, creativity, and the belief that life can be better than it is. This door represents optimism, curiosity, playfulness, and the psychological drive toward expansion. Yellow is the color of sunlight, gold, and awakening. It radiates warmth, possibility, and the promise of new beginnings. People drawn to this door often carry an inner lightness, even when life is heavy. You believe in potential not as naivety, but as a conscious choice. You are likely someone who seeks growth, learning, and discovery. Stagnation feels unbearable to you. You need mental stimulation, creative expression, and the freedom to explore new ideas. You may have changed careers, hobbies, or interests multiple times, not because you lack focus, but because you are endlessly curious. You understand that life is not meant to be a single straight line. It is meant to be an adventure. From a Jungian perspective, the yellow door connects to the energy of the ego in its healthiest form, the part of the psyche that says, I am here, I matter, and I have something to contribute. This is not arrogance, it is self-affirmation. Those who choose this door often possess a natural enthusiasm that uplifts others. You remind people that joy is not frivolous, it is essential. You show them that hope is not denial, it is resilience. However, the yellow door also carries a shadow. The pursuit of possibility can sometimes become avoidance of reality. You may struggle with commitment, follow-through, or facing uncomfortable emotions. When life becomes difficult, you may distract yourself with new projects, new relationships, or new dreams. This is not always growth. Sometimes it is escape. The yellow door can represent a fear of depth, a resistance to sitting still long enough to feel what is truly present. Your strength lies in your ability to inspire. You see potential where others see limitation. You create momentum when others feel stuck. You bring light into dark spaces, not by denying the darkness, but by believing that light can coexist with it. However, your growth lies in grounding. Potential means nothing without action. Dreams mean nothing without discipline. Joy is sustainable only when it is rooted in reality. People who choose the yellow door often struggle with being taken seriously. Others may see your optimism as superficiality or your enthusiasm as immaturity. But this is a misunderstanding. Your lightness is not ignorance. It is a choice. You have seen darkness, and you have chosen to focus on light. That takes courage, not denial. Yet you must also learn to honor the full spectrum of human experience. Not everything can be brightened. Some things must simply be felt. Ask yourself, where in your life are you avoiding difficulty by focusing only on possibility? Where has optimism become a defense mechanism rather than a genuine perspective? Your psyche is not asking you to become pessimistic. It is asking you to become integrated. The yellow door is not about pretending life is easy. It is about choosing hope even when it is hard. Integration, when the four doors become one path. Your choice of door was not a diagnosis. It was a revelation. Each door represents a dominant psychological force, passion, depth, clarity, or possibility. But no human being is made of only one. The purpose of this test is not to define you, but to show you which part of your psyche is currently asking for attention. Carl Jung believed that true psychological maturity comes from integration, not identification. When we cling too tightly to one aspect of ourselves, we lose balance. Passion without reflection becomes destruction. Depth without expression becomes isolation. Clarity without compassion becomes rigidity. Possibility without grounding becomes delusion. Your chosen door shows where your energy naturally flows. The other doors show what may be underdeveloped, ignored, or waiting in the background. Growth begins when you recognize this dynamic without judgment. If you chose the red door, integration means learning when to pause, not to suppress your passion, but to guide it with wisdom. If you chose the black door, integration means allowing safe expression, letting your inner world be witnessed without fear. If you chose the white door, integration means embracing imperfection as part of the human experience. And if you chose the yellow door, integration means grounding your dreams in reality without losing your sense of wonder. Individuation is not a destination. It is a process. You do not become whole in a single moment. You move toward wholeness through awareness, choice, and courage. The unconscious becomes less frightening when it is acknowledged. Inner conflict softens when opposing forces are allowed to coexist. This is why your choice mattered. Not because it predicts your future, but because it reveals the psychological climate of your present. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you feel tension, confusion, or stagnation? Often these are signs that one inner force is dominating while another is being suppressed. Balance does not come from eliminating parts of yourself, but from listening to all of them. As you move forward, carry this awareness with you. Notice when passion rises, when silence calls, when clarity demands truth, or when hope asks to be trusted. These moments are invitations, not to judge yourself, but to understand yourself more deeply. If this reflection resonated with you, share which door you chose in the comments. Your choice may help someone else recognize their own inner truth. Because the path forward is not about choosing the right door, it is about learning how to walk through all of them with consciousness, courage, and respect.